afternoon. Thanks for joining us. So we're going to go ahead and kick off our program. We have a jam-packed agenda for you guys today. So to kick things off, the Port of Benton, Port of Kennewick, and Port of Pasco have teamed up for today's opening video titled, "What is a Port?" So we're going to watch that video real quick.
What is a port? Why do we have them? Why 3 port districts? Port districts were authorized by the state in 1911 to encourage waterfront commerce. Since then, their economic development roles have expanded beyond the waterfront to building and operating airports, marinas, marine terminals, railroads, and industrial parks, to acting as a catalyst for community revitalization, business development, and tourism. In our state, port districts are established by citizen vote. There are 75 port districts in Washington state, from massive districts like Port of Seattle to very small districts like Port of Colotis, yet they all share the same mission: economic development. Port of Kennewick was formed in 1915 and is the oldest port in eastern Washington. Port of Kennewick covers most of East Benton County, including Kennewick, Richland, West Richland, and a portion of Benton City. Port of Pasco was formed in 1940. Port of Pasco covers most of Franklin County from Pasco to Connell. Port of Benton was formed in 1958. The Port of Benton covers most of West Benton County, including Richland, Benton City, and Prosser. Each port uniquely evolved since being established, and they continue to engage in those activities which best address the changing needs of their districts.
So our first speaker today is Diane Howard, and I'm just going to set a little bit of a tone that says there will be questions after each of our 3 speakers. So if you have something that you want to ask them, we're not going to wait till the end. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask each of our speakers questions as you see fit. So Diane Howard is our first guest speaker today. Diane was named the Port of Benton's Executive Director in December 2019. She also serves as the Acting Director for the Washington Vertical Cohort, which was established in 2021. She is the first woman to hold the Executive Director position at the Port of Benton and the first Executive Director with Latina heritage among the 75 port districts within Washington State. Please help me welcome Diane Howard.
We also have an additional short video, and I'm going to go ahead and attempt to start that now. We'll see how I do. Throughout Port of Benton's 65-year history, port commissioners and team members have imagined and innovated to deliver for our district and beyond. The entire port team is committed to bring our best every day to serve our community. This year, we will complete the highest number of capital projects in the port's history, breaking our 2022 record. Building on our momentum from 2022, we will replace the rail crossings at State Route SR 240, Airport Way, and State Street, using $3.1 million in state and federal grants, including the Freight Rail Assistance Program low interest loan and $385,000 in port matching funds. We're also planning $3.1 million in additional improvement projects at the Richland and Prosser airports this year, with support from the Federal Aviation Administration grant dollars. We recently purchased the former terminal building at the Richland Airport to expand leasable space for aviation-related and small businesses to support the airport's growth. Crews completed the White Bluffs Phase 1 in Richland, home to the Hanford History Project, and a future expansion of Phase 2 will include space for the growing B-Reactor tours and USS Triton Sail Park, which is in alignment with Visit Tri-Cities and regional STEM tourism goals. At the USS Triton Sail Park, we're planning to unveil a commemorative wall to honor those who served aboard this historic submarine. In Prosser, Indav Wine Company recently purchased land in Phase 2 of Vintners Village and plans to open a tasting room later this year. With additional parcels available for sale, Vintners Village will continue to grow. Transitioning our economy beyond Hanford is essential. We will be conducting land and waterfront planning for future development with our community and economic development partners. This effort will ensure these limited resources are managed to their fullest potential, consistent with our strategic plan goals, and provide regional benefit. We're establishing plans in partnership to develop an inland port in North Richland, which will provide multi-modes of transportation services to the region's vast industries to get their goods to market. We're under contract to sell 150 acres of industrial property in North Richland to renewable fertilizer company Atlas Agro, who is also part of the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub. This green fertilizer project is expected to create up to 235 full-time jobs, plus hundreds more during construction, helping our region take a major step towards net zero economy. The future is exciting in the Tri-Cities. Interest in local industrial property and site visits are in high demand, and some of that interest is a result of efforts by Vertical Advanced Clean Energy Innovation Cluster, which is administered by the Port of Benton. Vertical is an industry-led nonprofit coalition working with businesses, labor, academia, and other partners to solve national challenges and accelerate the transition to next-generation nuclear and other advanced clean energy technologies. We are teaming up with our partners at Clean Energy Supplier Alliance that includes companies of all sizes and partners from around the country and region, including right here in the Tri-Cities on this transformational undertaking. The Port team is excited to continue our work with you, and we could not be successful without our community partners, Benton County, the cities of Richland, Benton City, and Prosser, and our economic development partners. We know the Tri-Cities is the place to create, manufacture, and deploy advanced clean energy technologies for U.S. and global markets, leading the transition to a net zero economy, retaining and securing tens of thousands of high-quality jobs for Tri-Citians for decades to come. Thank you. So I'm pretty much going to re-summarize that video for you, but I want to do so because it's been a couple years since we've had the opportunity to be in front of all of you today. And so I just wanted to take a moment to kind of tell the story of the last few years. And but before I get started, of course, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity. And in 2020, we established the Port's first strategic plan that was mentioned in the video with help from Mal Foster Alonji. We gathered input from our economic development partners, cities, counties, our tenants, our commission, and most importantly, our team. This has helped us establish a strong foundation to support our desired transition and transformation to an organizational culture of excellence and professionalism. A big thank you to our Port team that is here today, as their work and dedication really truly reflects these values. So I'd just like to take one more moment to acknowledge my team. On November 2023 marked the Port of Benton's 65th anniversary year. We are one of 11 ports created in 1958. We're Washington's 41st. Port Commission and team have imagined and innovated to deliver on for our district, and we will continue our strategic efforts in 2024 to fully fulfill our mission to serve our entire community. A quick overview of the Port's assets for us is we've got 11 sites from Benton City down to Patterson, Crow Butte Park, Prosser, and Richland. We have over 50 buildings. Of those 50 buildings, about 20 to 25 of them are multi-tenant. We also have our rail line and 2 general aviation airports. Richland's considered regional and Prosser is considered rural. In 2024, a balanced budget was presented and approved that focused on 3 core areas: port improvements, maintenance, and economic development. Operating revenues increased by 35%. Property tax decreased for the 6th year in a row. We are now 31 cents per 1,000 of assessed, and we receive only 1.11% of property tax collected in Benton County. We anticipate a 65% increase in business volume in 2024, and our budget also reflects new revenues from a recently completed port building that was constructed using funds secured in June of 2021 at near historic low interest rates, being 2.57%. And during that transaction of bonds, we were also able to refinance more than $6 million in older debt. That resulted in $1.2 million of net present value savings, or 21%, over the remaining 13 years of those loans, substantially reducing debt service obligations to our taxpayers. Additionally, revenue projections may increase by $9 million if the renewable fertilizer company that was mentioned, Atlas Agro, who's presently conducting feasibility and due diligence for their project. If they desire to proceed with the purchase of the property, it would likely happen at the end of 2024 or early 2025. Since this sale is still in its feasibility stage, it is not included in our 2024 budget projections to be fiscally conservative. So here's what else is happening. This year, we will again complete the highest number of capital projects in the port history at $15.4 million. This includes grants that are secured, as well as federal grants that we are currently in the process of finding out if we'll get awarded. But this will, if it happens, break our 2022 record of $11 million of capital projects. We also have 188 leases that we will continue to adjust rates, as many of them are older and coming due at the end of their term, and many of them are also well below market. So we're making those required adjustments per basically the revenue department, the state revenue department. And also in December 23, thanks to a $1.1 million CARB loan, which is specific for aviation, we were able to close on the acquisition of the former terminal building at the Richland Airport. This space will be used to basically expand leasable space for aviation-related businesses and small businesses to support the airport's continued growth. And in 2024, as was mentioned again in the video, we're also planning $3.1 million in additional pavement, taxiway, and lighting improvement projects at both the Richland and Prosser airports this year, with the support from Federal Aviation Administration grant dollars. 2023, we also saw completion of the White Bluff Center Phase 1 in Richland. This is home to the Hanford History Project and Archives and Storage that is overseen by Washington State University, but is actually funded by the Department of Energy. The expansion of White Bluff Center Phase 2, we hope, will include space for the growing need of B reactor tours and their visitor center that saw 13,000 visitors last year, with visitor center activity doubling across the National Park Services. The Manhattan Project Historical Park, which includes Hanford, Los Alamos, and Oak Ridge, saw over 43,000 visitors combined. 600,000 of them actually started to take advantage of the virtual app that's offered, and 9.5 million Facebook interactions. I think that Oppenheimer movie helped out, Kevin. What do you think? The park only continues to grow, though, and so Manhattan National Park, along with the Port of Benton's USS Triton sale, is in alignment again with Visit Tri-Cities and regional STEM tourism goals, and we're really pleased to be a partner with you. At the USS Triton Sail Park and near the Port of Benton's offices, again in North Richland, we're working with our community and the Triton veterans to plan a commemorative wall to honor all of those who served aboard this historic submarine. Triton successfully completed the first submerged circumnavigation of the world during a top secret mission from February 24th to April 25th in 1960, known as Operation Sandblast. We are also in the due diligence period to acquire a building that's just to the south of our administrative offices, located at 3110 Port of Benton Boulevard. This will be used to retain existing and grow entrepreneurial businesses, again with our work with WSU Tri-Cities and the SBDC. And it also might become a temporary location to support White Bluffs Phase 2. Further in the area, we will be conducting land and waterfront planning for future development with the community. Our economic development partners, likely in the fall of 2024 is when we anticipate this. This effort will ensure that these limited resources, again, along North Richland, are managed to their fullest potential, consistent with our strategic plan goals, and benefit our region with vibrant creative development. And speaking of tourism, American Cruise Line, the riverboat tours, desires also to be closer to North Richland and the National Historic Park for tours that will include excursions to the Prosser community, where we've already connected them with over 15 businesses in Prosser for weekly visits that we hope begin in 2024. And part of their visit will include Endow Wine Company, who recently purchased land to open the tasting room in Phase 2 of Vintners Village. With additional parcels for sale, again, we really see that Vintners Village will continue to grow, and we will be continuing our work with the Prosser community, our partners, and creative districts, as well as we hope to do the same as well in Richland. On our industrial side, the future is exciting in the Tri-Cities. Interest in local industrial properties and site visits are in high demand. And the Washington State's Clean Energy Transformation Act has driven a lot of this change. It's also with the leadership and partnership with the City of Richland in supporting our united clean energy vision and advanced manufacturing that we desire to locate in North Richland. Much of this interest is also the result of the efforts and support working with industry in the Vertical Advanced Energy Innovation Cluster. Verticals is a nonprofit coalition, as was mentioned, 160 members. Again, about 40 of those are clean energy supplier alliances, but we really are working to help businesses be ready for that supply chain and labor, and working to solve workforce needs to accelerate the transition to next generation nuclear and other advanced clean energy technologies. The port administers Vertical and received $400,000 to do so from the State Department of Commerce Innovation Cluster Accelerator Program in 2022, and we most recently received another $300,000 in January of this year. We have 8 key project areas, and we've just completed our 3-year strategic roadmap. We team up again with our industry partners, the Clean Energy Supplier Alliance. That includes companies of all sizes, the City of Richland, Tridec, Energy Forward Alliance, who's here today, Sean, and along with other partners in Tri-Cities and from around the country on this transformational undertaking. We recently held Clean Energy Day in Olympia on January 31st with the Clean Tech Alliance, Boeing, and Framatome. So why the Port of Benton? Well, according to the Department of Energy's 2023 U.S. Energy and Employment Report, nearly 300,000 new clean energy jobs were created nationwide in 2022, outpacing national job growth. This sharp uptick is particularly exciting because clean energy jobs offer higher wages than the national average. Also, research that was conducted by Brookings Institution found that having a clean energy job can increase an individual's income by 8 to 19%. Clean energy jobs are also widely available to workers without 4-year degrees, providing opportunities for Americans of all socioeconomic and educational backgrounds. So our focus begins with next generation nuclear, next generation that is projected to produce a 4.11 multiplier of economic impact by 2025. So every day, we work with our partners to push advanced clean energy technologies forward because we know the Tri-Cities is the place to create, manufacture, and deploy, specifically advanced reactors for U.S. and global markets, leading the transition to net zero economy, retaining and securing tens of thousands of high-quality jobs for the Tri-Citians and for our state for decades to come, and our region's power needs. I mentioned we're under contract to sell 150 acres of industrial property in North Richland to renewable fertilizer company Atlas Agro, which is part of the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub as well. We continue to work with our tribal partners, local trades, City of Richland, PNNL, and DOE to bring this project to fruition. Atlas Agro is anticipated to be a $1.2 billion project and expected to create 235 full-time jobs, plus hundreds more during construction, to help our region and our ag sector take a major step towards net zero economy. We also have 300 acres of land lease with Tushi Solar for a 125 megawatt solar park, also located just to the north of the Atlas property. That's planned to begin construction in 2024. We hope operations by 2025. And yes, the jobs might be minimal, but the power is desperately needed and will serve multiple PUDs and utilities via Energy Northwest. Again, working with Energy Northwest, and they continue their work on their joint venture development agreement with X-Energy to deploy the XE100 advanced small modular reactor that's planned to be located next to Energy Northwest Columbia Generation Station, the commercial nuclear facility. This project, again, represents another $2.5 billion, 1,700 jobs during construction, and about $9.6 million in taxes. Framatome just signed an agreement and joint venture with Ultrasafe Nuclear Corporation out of Seattle. The Tri-Cities has been named the location by Framatome for its Global Center for Advanced Fuel Development. We used a state evergreen grant to respond to the Department of Defense Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program, Advanced Technology, Large Scale.
another acronym, another atlas. And we are actively recruiting powder metallurgy, hot isostatic pressing, or basically trying to reshore forging facility again in North Richland. And the city continues to work with projects that they've got going that I can say because they've been in the paper. They're working to recruit Sonate, the battery company, as well as we're continuing our joint activities to attract space nuclear. So these are just a few examples of projects that we work together with our partners to support and bring to this region. And all of these site visits come back to the Port of Benton's transportation. So that's why the Port of Benton. Our intermodal assets, primarily our duly served Class 1 rail, and we are also the second highest short lane in the state of Washington with 1.3 million tons, primarily of value-added ag cargo that leaves from Richland to go out to domestic and global markets. And we also know that our rail supports the city of Richland's broader Horn Rapids Industrial Park, and we're currently working with our city partner to exchange industrial land and assets with the city of Richland under a memorandum of understanding that was approved at the end of 2023. So we are working on our plans and partnership to develop an intermodal facility or an inland port in North Richland that will provide multiple modes of transportation and services for our region's vast industries to continue to grow and get their goods to market. This will basically be a shuttle train. I'm just going to answer the question now. It's 2 more trains a week. It will go directly from Richland to Tacoma to the ship. We have many ag companies that are not able to get through the gateway. It takes about 5.5 hours to get through the gateway, and they're unable to grow, and they're unable to get their products to market. So this will allow that shuttle train to just run back and forth, and we really are looking forward to helping support their growth. And then on the flip side, bring in imports on advanced manufacturing, and that's how we ensure that those rates stay competitive, and we're able to help everybody grow. So growing our existing companies, creating new supply chain in advanced manufacturing is crucial to the transition of our economy. Retaining and growing our workforce in clean energy careers is essential to meeting the needs of our region. And we are fully focused on the future to enrich the diversity of our organization, working with our congressional, state, regional chambers, counties, cities, and our economic development partners, along with all of you, to drive economic resiliency for our communities and the state to come. Thank you.
All right, so next we're going to hear from Tim Arneson, the Chief Executive Officer of the Port of Kennewick. Tim has been the CEO since 2004, and during Tim's tenure, the port has received awards for Clover Island restoration, Columbia Drive redevelopment, workforce and economic development best practices, and more. Tim is currently directing one of the most complex projects in the port's 109-year history with the redevelopment of the former Vista Field Airport into a regional town center. So please help me and welcome Tim Arneson.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a bumper crop of individuals here. It's great to see a crowded room like this. I'm going to try to keep it brief. We have a really cool video, and I've watched the video once, and it really demonstrates pretty well what the Port of Kennewick does. So if I can figure out how to run the machine here, we'll get you through the video, and then I'll talk for a few minutes, and we'll have some questions at the end. So again, Tim Arneson, Port of Kennewick. Just want to give a shout out to our administration. We have the port commissioners, Ken Hohenberg, Tom Moak, Skip Novakovich up front. Great group of people. The leadership starts at the top. And then my team, they are the greatest team in the world because they cover for me all of the mistakes I make, and when I'm at the wrong meeting at the wrong time, they bring me back in. So I got the greatest team in the world. And as you know, you people in business here, it's a team effort. So just wanted to make that clear, and let's see if I can figure this out.
Port of Kennewick is an economic development engine for our district, the Tri-Cities, and the broader region. Our 3-member elected Board of Commissioners governs the port as we engage in transparent urban planning, revitalize Kennewick's historic waterfront district, construct a regional town center, and partner with municipalities on life, health, and safety benefits. At Vista Field, the Port is creating a pedestrian-focused development that features mixed-use neighborhoods and urban lifestyle amenities. With the first phase of infrastructure in place, the Port is working to bring private sector investment to the initial 20 acres at Vista Field. We are marketing lots for commercial, retail, and residential development, and those proceeds will help fund future phases of infrastructure until the entire 103-acre site plan is complete. The Port received a grant from Benton County to enhance Vista Field's southern gateway at Deschutes Avenue and Crosswind Boulevard by creating lively public-use facilities from 2 unused former hangar buildings. That transformation project will create a sheltered courtyard and add a stage, sound wall, pergola, artwork, restrooms, storage areas, wayfinding signage, and landscaping. We're also planning to share the story of Vista Field's naval history through the artistic reuse of simulated aircraft carrier decking that was used to practice landings at the site during World War II. Already, private sector interest in Vista Field is growing. The Port Commission has accepted preliminary proposals from developers, including a destination bridal retail center and an $8 million 5-story mixed-use retail, apartment, and condo complex, and several other developers are currently preparing letters of interest. The Port is also focused on improving and bringing businesses to Kennewick's historic waterfront district, which encompasses Clover Island and Columbia Drive. The Port is following a community-driven master plan to guide future investment and promote Clover Island as a tourism destination. Recently, the Port and its partners completed the restoration of Clover Island's shoreline. That 15-year effort created a vibrant habitat, stabilized the shoreline, added viewpoints, and extended the Clover Island Riverwalk path. 4 development parcels were also readied for private sector development. That work received the Washington Public Ports Association Creative Partnership Award and was honored by Governor Inslee with a Smart Communities Award. At the Columbia Gardens Wine and Artisan Village, the Port added new wayfinding signage, a public restroom, standing bar counters to tasting room patios, artwork wraps on utility boxes, and a demonstration vineyard. We also welcomed Frida's Mexican Grill, Botana's Caliche, and Culture Shock Bistro's chef Frank Magana to the Wine and Artisan Village. Now 6 food truck vendors and 4 wineries, including Bartholomew, Monarca, Gordon Estate, and Mireille Gaston offer various award-winning wines and popular cuisines. Plus, the Port sold a parcel to Swampy's Barbecue, one of Columbia Gardens' original anchor food trucks, for a new building for its barbecue and catering businesses. We're now working to sell or ground lease the remaining shovel-ready Columbia Gardens parcels to provide opportunities for complementary private sector development. In addition to Port-led projects, we regularly support city projects of regional benefit. In Richland, we invested in the city's Center Parkway Extension project to help attract additional private sector commercial, retail, and employment opportunities to that important transportation corridor. And we supported Benton City with funding to help increase business opportunities for sites within the Port District. In addition, Port staff are working with small businesses to promote vibrancy events to attract visitor spending and public investment at Columbia Gardens and Vista Field. In all we do, Port of Kennewick remains mindful that we are stewards of the public's trust as we maintain and market facilities, provide fiscally sound leadership, and drive economic development throughout our large and diverse district to ensure the highest benefit to taxpayers. The Port of Kennewick. We're working for you.
Well, when I saw that video, I realized that there wasn't a whole lot of talking I have to do afterwards, because it is a pretty good snapshot of what we do. I want to say thank you for the people that put the video together, Tana Bader and Glima on my team. In the back, Rochelle Olson, she helps us on a lot of projects, and it was done by PS Media. And I think it's important to call out the small businesses, because as I look across the room here, most of you are involved in small business. And the theme that I hope you take away from today is all three of the ports. One of the things that we hold dear is our ability and our opportunities to help small businesses. And you folks are the backbone of this community. And, you know, we can grow some large jobs occasionally, but most of the real meaningful growth comes from the onesies, twosies, the folks like McKay and Sposito that you know, build their workforce locally and regionally. So to you folks, I want to give a shout out, and just remember that's kind of what all of this needs to gravitate back towards. Our ports need to be able to have a direct link to helping our community with amenities and also providing opportunities for our small businesses here to continue to grow. So give yourselves a round of applause, please. So what I wanted to do here is to, you know, whenever I do public speaking, I try to accomplish two things. One is to share a little bit of information that kind of almost makes it worth your while to come over here. And two, the most important part is not to put you to sleep. So I'm going to roll through a couple slides here, try to keep it really brief. And what I wanted to do is just pick some slides at random. So kind of like my good friend Scotty Keller, the new commissioner at Port of Benton, I can just kind of ramble through here and have a good time while I'm telling you some stuff that I think is pretty exciting. This slide here is the Center Parkway project. We've seen that in the video, and you see some of the elected officials in there. And, you know, this has been something that's been many, many years in coming. We were talking about it before this event, 20 plus years in trying to get this thing through. We've got it through. I drive it all the time now, just because, you know, because we got through there. But the other thing I want to show is, even though we're called Port of Kennewick, we work with a lot of other partners. We work with City of Richland, Benton City, Benton County, West Richland. And then as I go through the slides here, you're going to see some other partners. This was a shoreline project that we just completed out on Clover Island, and that project was 15 years in the making. We had to restore the shoreline. It had been damaged over the years from human activities and natural activities. And what we've done is we've stabilized the shoreline, and it now creates upland areas on Clover Island that we can ground lease to businesses, residential opportunities. But let me go back to the partnership concept. If you see in the middle, there's a person that has the military uniform on. That is the commander of the Army Corps of Engineers. And this was a project sponsored by the port and the Corps of Engineers. But in the middle of the picture, you see some folks from the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, another very, very important partner that we work with. And if you remember your history, this was all the what they call the ceded territory of the Confederated Tribes. This was their homeland, and they were moved onto the reservation, which currently is in the Pendleton area. But the tribes hold this area very, very dear. So when I talk about, you know, you taxpayers in the district, you small business people in the district, our jurisdictional partners, we can't forget about maybe some of the first inhabitants of the Port District. You know, they were here before we were a Port District. So we work well with them, and we recognize that that is a very, very important relationship that we've built. And then towards the end of it, you see the gentleman in the hat and then two other folks right next to him. Those are members of the Yakima Nation. And while our Port District really isn't in the Yakima ceded territory, it was sure nice to see some representatives from the Yakima tribe come down to our event. And this is the first time for us to have the interaction with the Yakima tribe. So as we talk about partnerships, it is very, very important to cast as wide of a net as possible. And you business owners already know that. You need to know all of your suppliers, you need to know your customers, you need to work through and build your networks. And that's what we try to do at the Port of Kennewick. And just more of the same, and I'm very proud of this. I want to read you a quote from Winston Churchill. And I'm looking at Ryan on my team, and Ryan is so young, I don't think he remembers who Winston Churchill was. But I like some of the things that Winston Churchill said, and, you know, during World War II did. He says, if you have an important point to make, Don't try to be subtle or clever. Use a pile driver. Hit the point once, then come back and hit it again, then hit it a third time. And that's what I'm doing with our relationship with the tribes. If you think that I'm really proud of that, I am. And I'm going to just admit that I'm probably making this point over and over again because that's how important I think it is. Here you're seeing some of the other activities and some of the great opportunities we've had with our tribal partners. Look at the lady in the middle. Look at the traditional costume. That's Bobby Connor, and she's a very, very important member of the tribe. And we've heard from the tribe that not only do they think of us as partners, but they think of us as friends. And one of the elders, Skip Novakovich's late good friend Les Minthorn, even said that we're like family. And those are the relationships that take a long, long time to build. Those are the relationships that pay dividends in so many ways. And I want to finish with a project that we're helping support. This is the lighting of the cable bridge. And you might say, well, wait a second, Tim, it's already lit. It is. But the lights are 20 plus years old, and we're going to try to move to new LED lighting. This was a community group of 3 ladies that felt it was really, really important. And now, if you fast forward to where we're at, we've got a whole bunch of buy-in from the community, and I think City of Pasco has taken lead on this. But the first group that these ladies came to was Port of Kennewick. And in fact, I think they came to Skip Novakovich first, and Skip brought it back to the commission. And early on, the commission said, we're in. Okay, before we even knew a lot about it. Those are some of the things that we do. We try to influence others, and we said, we'll be in with our checkbook, but only to the extent that other people come in as well. So this is a longer-term project. It will put new LED lighting up on the bridge. It's going to be fabulous. And remember, the cable bridge is one of our most unique icons in this community. And I also think the lighthouse that we built out on the island is too. But, you know, we do, as a community, we do take care of the things that we've built. And, you know, like at your home or at the port, you build stuff and then you realize, oh man, now I got to take care of it and maintain it. So that's what we're doing with the cable bridge, to be a partner with that project. So I think I've got to the end of my slides. And just remember, you know, Diane did a great job with showing all the things that are going on out at Port of Benton. We've got some things, and then Randy's going to show you some other things, but please tie it back to, we're here for you folks. We're here for the small business people that are really contributing, and I see that she wants me to quit talking.
No, not at all. I don't want you to leave. Let's see if there's any questions. So again, I'm going to open up the floor if there's any questions that anybody has for Tim. You have okay, we have right here.
Okay, I'm only going to take friendly questions. Please go ahead.
You spent a lot of time focusing on your relationship with the tribes, especially the Umatillas. Can you share what role you think the port could play in expanding that relationship on behalf of the greater community and ensuring that we all have an opportunity to expand that engagement? Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. That's a great question. And, you know, everybody in this room is important to us. So it's not just that we're making an outreach to certain groups, but you have to try to be inclusive. And sometimes there's groups that maybe feel that they have not been included, and that's really not for me to say, but there's some people that feel like maybe things have passed them by. And while the Port of Kennewick is interested in dealing with anybody and everybody, you kind of maybe make a little side detour to try to loop in folks that maybe are underrepresented. Now, I'm not going to talk about who is or who isn't, but to kind of build on your question, if you go down to the wine village that we built on Columbia Drive in Kennewick, we have done a magnificent mural that we worked with the Latino community, and we worked through and we put a mural on the side of our one of our winery buildings that talks about the journey of the Latino folks in our community. And this was something that they came up with. They went out and met with a lot of the groups. They went out to the workers in the fields and the orchards, and they got the real story, and the story they wanted to tell was coming to this country and picking things, cherries and whatever, to becoming college graduates and business owners. So that's just another example, but you know what? We're still looking to make as many linkages as possible with everybody in our community, and when we can, if there's a group that is maybe an offshoot or maybe feels like they've been left out of the mainstream, we're interested in those folks as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tim. All right, so finally, Randy Hayden is the Executive Director of the Port of Pasco, where he has worked for nearly 25 years. He oversees the port's 2 large industrial parks, barge terminal, intermodal rail yard, commercial properties, and the Tri-Cities Regional Airport. Randy serves on boards of the Benton-Franklin Good Roads Association, United Way of Benton and Franklin Counties, the Pacific Northwest Waterway Association, and more. So please join me in welcoming Randy Hayden.
Aren't you glad there's only 3 ports in the Tri-Cities? Everybody's going to be thinking port, port, port. Well, we also have a video, believe it or not. But before I get to that, and I know we've already done this with the other ports, but I really want to acknowledge my staff that's here today. This is just a great team, and everything that you'll see in the video, I will talk about is a result of their efforts, and they don't often get a chance to stand up here like I do. So would you please help me in thanking them one more time? All right, I think you're getting the word right. Click.
Hi, I'm Randy Hayden, the Executive Director for the Port of Pasco. Thanks for joining us today as we explore the many great things our local ports are doing in our community. First, I'd like to introduce you to the Port of Pasco Commissioners, President Gene Reichman, Vice President Jim Clinworth, and Secretary Vicki Gordon. Our commissioners have a vast amount of experience in the public power, insurance, real estate, and wine industries, serving our district well. Founded in 1940, the port is celebrating its 85th year of serving the great city of Pasco and North Franklin County region. The port's properties are the Wharf, Big Pasco Industrial Center and Container Barge Terminal, Osprey Point, the Tri-Cities Airport, Airport Industrial Park, Airport Business Center, Pasco Processing Center, Foster Wells Business Center, the Ryman Industrial Center, and PIC 395. These properties host a mix of industrial, commercial, and transportation-related businesses and functions. Over the past year, and looking to the future, many exciting projects have been underway for the Port of Pasco. At the Ryman Industrial Center, Darigold broke ground on its nearly 400,000 square foot facility in September of 2022. The development of the 150-acre site is now well on its way. The company plans to invest $650 million and construct the largest milk processing facility in North America. Darigold intends to commence operations in 2025. The Ryman Industrial Center was also given the honor of becoming the first BNSF certified site in the state of Washington and one of only 33 in the country. Washington's congressional delegation delivered $3.6 million in federal funding for the port's Ryman Industrial Center last mile project. Senator Murray and Senator Cantwell sponsored the port's request for infrastructure funding with support from Congressman Newhouse on the House side. 150 acres remain available for purchase and development for the next manufacturing industry. In 2023, UPS closed on its purchase of 12 acres in the port's 54-acre Pasco Industrial Center 395, or PIC 395 for short. The new site allows the company to build a second shipping center in the Tri-Cities. UPS predicts it will add 75 full-time and 65 seasonal employees at the new facility. The PIC 395 site was attractive to UPS because of its easy access to US 395 and the Tri-Cities region. 2 more projects are under contract and expected to close on land sales early this year. Old Dominion Freight Line is buying 18 acres for a new freight shipping receiving center, and APG Land Acquisitions LLC is under contract to purchase 25 acres for a 90,000 square foot delivery center. The Tri-Cities is already a recognized leader in agricultural innovation. Now steps are underway to take those efforts even further with the creation of an Agricultural Innovation Center. This project is a result of the Tri-Cities Regional Chamber of Commerce's regional visioning effort known as My Tri 2030. As envisioned, the center would involve the private sector, farm workers, commodity groups, and commissions such as wheat, grapes, hay, and potatoes, educational institutions, and the state and federal departments of agriculture. It would contain labs, space for innovation, and conference rooms. The Port of Pasco is working on another agricultural front with community organizations for the creation of an Ag Symbiosis Center. The Port hosted a workshop in December that was led by representatives of Green Lab, a successful clean and circular industrial park in Skive, Denmark. It has emerged as a global model for industrial symbiosis. Symbiosis in agriculture and industry means that industries share waste resources so that nothing goes unused, input costs are reduced, and there is less impact on the environment. The City of Pasco is already leading symbiosis with the expansion to their processed water reuse facility that will take food processing wastewater and convert it to renewable natural gas and an algae-based fertilizer. Exciting things are also happening at the Tri-Cities Airport. With vision from the Port, a grant from the Washington State Department of Commerce, and the expertise of JUB engineers, the Port was able to create an initial master plan for the Tri-Cities Airport Aerospace Innovation and Manufacturing Center, or AIM Center. The plan outlines goals to build a 460-acre AIM Center within the existing Tri-Cities Airport boundaries adjacent to the current runway system. The proposed project will attract companies which provide research, science, and technology related to the aviation and aerospace industries. These companies could manufacture systems such as electric and hydrogen-powered aircraft, vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, autonomous flight systems, artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, or other technology. Full build-out of the AIM Center is expected to take about 20 years. For more information on the project or to provide your input, please visit tricitiesaim.com. Thanks to a State of Washington Community Economic Revitalization Board grant and loan, new property in the Tri-Cities Airport Business Center is now available for development. Opening up the property required a 2,000-foot extension of Rickenbacker Road with curb, gutter, and sidewalk, municipal water and sewer main, and 2,000 feet of taxiway on the aviation side of the Tri-Cities Airport Business Center. Curb funds accounted for 80% of the project, with the remaining 20% directly funded by the Port of Pasco. In total, the Tri-Cities Airport Business Center includes 21 aviation lots designed for executive hangars. The non-aviation area has 47 lots for commercial, retail, restaurant, professional services, and hospitality. A number of businesses have already located there with new projects in progress. At the terminal building, the airport has plans to expand parking in 2024. During this past holiday season, the short and long-term parking lots were filled to capacity. The expansion will add between 200 to 400 new parking spaces and new technology installation that will help drivers move in and out of the lots with more ease. The Tri-Cities Airport welcomed a new airline to the community on February 15th, when American Airlines began offering daily, nonstop service to Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, a major hub for American. Passenger traffic at the Tri-Cities Airport has come soaring back following the pandemic. In 2023, the airport served 437,000 passengers, 12% higher than 2022, and just 923 fewer passengers than the airport record year pre-COVID in 2019. Thank you to all who choose to fly local. Your continued use helps us bring in more flights and more destinations. As always, it has been a pleasure sharing information about the projects the Port is working on, as well as our efforts to promote continued economic growth and stability in our region. Thank you.
Thank you for that. You're in luck. When I put my presentation together, it'd been a while since I'd seen the video, so I have a lot of repeats, which I'm just going to skip over because the video did a great job of covering those areas. So this is one of them. Commissioner, sorry, but we already know who you are, so thank you. All right, and we did see in the video that American started their flight last year, so it was a chance to get out our big pair of scissors and welcome them to Pasco. We are hopeful that if that route to Phoenix is successful, that American will also add their flight to Dallas-Fort Worth, We have a federal grant of $750,000 just sitting out there for any airline that will add that daily service to DFW. So if we all make this route to Phoenix successful, we can hopefully convince Phoenix American to add that flight to DFW as well. And I think you also heard in the news that Avelo just announced they were going to start twice weekly flights to Sonoma County Airport just north of San Francisco. So for those of you that love to drink wine, not as good as ours, but other areas, you could take that flight, bring some of them back with you to taste the really good wines that we have here in Washington State. All right, we already talked about passenger numbers, so I'm going to skip over that. This is kind of the tough love section of my speech here. This chart is something that we track at the airport as far as passengers that are flying out of Pasco versus driving to other airports like SeaTac or Spokane or PDX. And in 2019, we kept about 44% of our passengers in our catchment area, which goes up to Moses Lake, Yakima, down into southeast Oregon, along with the Tri-Cities area. So we retained about 44% of those passengers. The other 56% were driving to those other airports. So some room for improvement. The troubling part is that when we reran these numbers in 2022, our loss percentage had gone up. So we're only retaining 32% of our passengers, with the other 68% driving to other airports. So not sure what's all behind that. We know we've got new routes, we've got new planes, but I want to show you something encouraging about how we can turn that around and what happens if we turn that around. So these are the routes that we currently fly out of the Tri-Cities Airport, 10 nonstop destinations to many of the places that we all fly. And we really are fortunate in our community to have an airport of this stature that has this many flights. A lot of other communities don't have this type of airport. So can I have a little audience participation here? A quick raise of your hands if you knew that we had 10 nonstop destinations out of Pasco. Come on, I know it's after lunch, but let's go. Okay, I probably saw about a third, which is, surprising that many people don't know we don't just fly to Seattle. We have a lot of nonstops here. So for those of you that rose your hand, if somebody next to you didn't raise your hand, encourage them, hey, next time, fly out of Pasco. We've got 10 nonstops. So this is a chart that shows if we could increase that retained percentage of passengers to 75%, which is not unreasonable. The red routes are routes that we could attract airlines to add to Pasco, and I'm not going to read them all, but it doesn't include destinations like DFW again, a flight back to Portland, Chicago, and Atlanta, to name a few. So your mission when you leave here today is to sell the Tri-Cities Airport. Next time you're checking Expedia or Google or whatever you do for your flights, check Pasco first, add up all the costs of driving to another airport, all the hassle. You don't want to go through SeaTac. You want to fly out of Tri-Cities, all right? Let's get those other destinations. So to keep up with all that growth that you will all be bringing into our airport, we do have plans to expand our terminal. It seems like we just got done with that major expansion, but we're already underway with the next level of expansion. So what you see here in white is the existing terminal, and all the colored areas are things that we plan to improve in the next 10 years. So our first phase will include 3 new jet bridges, and I wish Marty Conger was here because every time I see him, I think he says, we need to get more jet bridges so we don't have to walk outside to get to our plane. So Marty, wherever you are in spirit, we've got 3 new jet bridges on the way, as long as some additional equipment to take your baggage behind the ticket counter. Future phases will include new gates, concession areas, another screening lane, more ticketing counters, relocating the rental cars to their own building outside the terminal, and a new baggage carousel to pick up your luggage. And as we already heard in the video, lots of parking lot improvements as well. We're also working with Congress and the FAA to move the air traffic control tower. You may not even notice it, but it's right on the end of our terminal, and that's in the way of expansion. So we're working with Congress to see if we can get some funds to move that terminal to another spot in the airport. All right, well, moving off of commercial air service, we did talk about the AIM Center in our video, and that's really an effort to take this really unused land between the airfield, between the runways at our airport, and make that into a manufacturing center for aerospace development. It's just growing in the Pacific Northwest. We know that Boeing and all their suppliers have always been strong in Washington. There's a lot more of that market to capture, and they're running out of land in the Puget Sound. So we think Pasco would be a great spot to add some of that aerospace manufacturing. We're about 4 years out as we work on some of our public outreach to the neighborhood there and secure funding to make that happen. We talked a lot about Ryman, so I think I'm going to skip over that. But Dairy Gold, if you get a chance, just drive out on 395, see all the cranes out there. They are going great guns to open that plant by 2025. It will be an awesome project for not only our community and the jobs, but the dairy farms around, as they have to add cows to supply all the milk that will be needed at that plant. And primarily, they'll be sending protein powder to China and Asia, and then butter to the east side of the United States from that plant. Sorry, no cheese. I was really hoping we'd get a cheese tasting facility there, but we're still going to have to drive up to Sunnyside for that. Also want to take this opportunity to thank, there's just a picture of the construction. Along with the port putting in water sewer roads, the city of Pasco, as mentioned, is making huge upgrades to their water reuse facility. So innovative, they're really leading the edge by converting that wastewater to renewable natural gas and nitrogen-based fertilizer that can be used on farmland. The PUD is putting in a new substation, and Franklin County is improving some of the roads to serve the dairy trucks coming into the site. So all of these things take great partners, and Dairy Gold is certainly an example of that. I think we mentioned this in the video, our property just north of Reesers, we're UPS Old Dominion, and now we can say Amazon is the third party. I actually signed the papers yesterday on that sale. They're supposed to sign them today. And so I think for you all, be interested that their plans for that 25 acres is to put in a expedited delivery facility, which means their goal is to get shipping in the Tri-Cities down to 2 days instead of the week, at least that I see. So hopefully we can all get our packages a little quicker when they open up that facility. And this is different. Hey, Tom is happy if nobody else is. This will complement their 2 large warehouses that they built in Pasco. One, which is slated to open towards the end of the summer. This facility is supposed to be built by then to support that plant. All right, one thing that doesn't get noticed much is our largest industrial park, and that's our big Pasco Industrial Center. Started out as a World War II facility. We put about $7.5 million into that park 2 years ago to upgrade the roads and the stormwater. Not super exciting, but it really makes that industrial park so much more functional. We've got 60 plus businesses there, 600 employees that rely on the rail, truck, and barge slip that we have. So having that improvement funded by EDA was very important to us and our existing businesses. We've got about 2 million square feet of covered space in that park that is just about all occupied. So it's a very, very well-used part of our industrial center. We talked about these, so I'm going to skip over that. Some efforts that we're helping partner with in the community. And 2 other smaller but cool projects. Tim already mentioned the Cable Bridge LED project that we are a partner with, along with the Port of Kennewick and the City of Kennewick. And at some point, once we're kind of funding this initial stage to get a design and some pretty pictures put together, we are definitely hoping that we'll have other community partners join in so that we can have something cool in the Tri-Cities. We don't have too many cool things in the Tri-Cities, but this picture, I'm not sure where it was taken, but this is an example of what it could look like for different festivals and things that we have. So we'd like to be a part of that. And then the last thing is the C Street Vault. This is in Connell, being led by the North Franklin Heritage Museum, and the building that you see there is an old early 1900s bank that's been used for few different things over that time, but now they're rehabbing that into a boutique hotel and restaurant. So the port partnered with them in providing some funding, and they hope to open that up next year. And if they're successful with this building, plan to do some others to really revitalize downtown Connell. So we're very pleased to partner with them on that. And with that, I thank you. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about how the Port of Pasco is connecting with you.
Okay, questions for Randy?
So just to repeat the question, thank you, Commissioner Moak. The question was, and first, acknowledge Tom. He exclusively flies out of the Tri-Cities. We'll have to have an award for you for doing that. But he said if we get up to the 75% and we have all these new routes and new passengers, what are we going to do about parking? So yes, we are looking at a parking garage. We have lots of space for additional surface parking, so we've got 3 or 4 phases of surface parking before we get to the parking garage, because it is very expensive to put up a parking garage, and I don't think any of you want to pay the price it would cost to park in a parking garage. But eventually, yes, we likely will have to put in a parking garage, and it's in our long-term plans. The question is, what's the timing of the Amazon Fulfillment Center? So they built the 2 large ones. So one of those is supposed to open late summer, and that's for the normal products, and the other one early next year is what we've been told. The expedited delivery center that we sold the ground for is supposed to open in August, September of this year.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so thanks again to Randy, Tim, and Diane. Can we give them one more round of applause?